On episode 14 of Convergence, recorded over Zoom, updates on Godmode and Morning Creative, plus we all want to make big improvements in our lives. And we can do it. Just don't be weird about it.
Yesterday was a full day of body work. I got a glorious massage. I have a car accident masseuse, and
she's just there to massage your car accidents.
Exactly. Yeah, she comes out to the vehicle and it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, fender." No, but no, she does. She has like choreography with how she goes through the different muscle groups, and like it's like a dance. It's like just this wonderful experience on the body. It's so nice. I just melt. And then I also had chiropractic and physical therapy that day, and those were both a little bit more. Those were more involved and aggravating. Not aggravating. Aggravating is the wrong word, but like small t traumatic to the body. You know, it's just like work. I had a thought I wanted to run by you. That's like kind of out of nowhere, and then I have some updates on Godmode work and the book that we talked about last episode.
How to begin? The book that I affectionately refer to as the Bungay.
Yeah.
Because I remember in Rugrats they always used to refer to the sort of baby or the parenting manual as the Lipschitz, because it was, Dr. Lipschitz was the author, and so they would, in page 3 of the Lipschitz or in chapter 3 of the Lipschitz it says this. So I'm like,
that's hilarious.
I have shorthand in my notes in lots of places, the Bungay, because that's just what I think about that book, because it's so good.
Yeah, it really is. I honestly, I was a bit like not hesitant, but just like, what's this really going to do for me? I'm already excited. I'm already kind of starting and on the roll and this and that and whatever. And I got to say, I stand corrected, and I had a great time with the book. I think it had some excellent kind of exercises to do to clarify what you're doing and why you're doing it. 'Cause why is super important.
I might have to redo my worthy goal.
Ooh, yeah. I want to hear a new all the drafts.
Just because I'm going all in on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I might make that my worthy goal as opposed to other things we discussed last week.
That makes sense. Okay, well, I want to hear more about that too. So yeah, so here's my my spouse-ish test.
Oh yes,
with you, Mark. I did run it by Margaret already and got some good feedback, but I'm just going to...
So for the listener, the recommendation in the Bungay is that when you are coming up with a worthy goal, you give it to someone who is going to lovingly listen to it and see what their reaction is and see if they, if they're enthusiastic or if they come at it with a bunch of fear. So it's someone that you know very well and that you trust to have your back, but also not feed you too much BS. So that's kind of the very short précis version of the spouse test. So spouse me.
Yeah. So this is my third draft. By October 2024, establish an elite guide for gamer dudes and the world to show themselves how easy and fun good health is to achieve and maintain, dismantling the oppression we have ingrained.
I love that it's got that you're leading with a date. That you're, this is going to happen by this time.
Mm-hmm.
Elite. That's a great word to go for. I'm interested in gamer dudes hyphen and the world close hyphen.
Because it's not just for gamer dudes. Like that's kind of how it's branded in the beginning. And that's kind of how I'm having fun with it, entering into it. But it's like it's gonna be I don't want to. I have no intention to limit my audience to just people who play games and just guys who play games.
But it's a very shrewd business move to niche for now.
Yeah.
Because once you've established that, and once you've got a hardcore group of gamer nerds who can get behind this, it's a little bit like for me. I might have been a little bit distrustful of the book The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters, because he's a sports psychologist. And I'm like, don't give a fuck. I'm not about performance. I'm not about those things. Competitive edge. Like, no. But actually, my brother read the book and he said, you should read the book. It would do a lot of good for you. And so that's not exactly the same thing, but it's, if it passes around the gamer dudes and then the gamer dudes are like, you know, go to their spouse who's not a gamer dude and is like, you want to get in shape, you should read this book. Like,
and that was kind of my intention. That's why I lead with gamer dudes and then comma and the world. It's kind of like an aside. It's like, yeah, but this is also good for anybody.
And Tomorrow the World.
Exactly. Very Animaniacs of it. And yeah, and the world is not an essential segment of that worthy goal, but it does feel like important is the wrong word, but like
worthy.
Yeah, it does feel worthy. But yeah, I could see changing.
I mean, I'm just asking the questions.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love the questions and I love the probing and prodding. I say by October 2024, I don't think I'm going to establish one for the world by then.
That's my thinking.
So, yeah.
So phase 2 is and the world. Phase 1 is gamer dudes.
Phase 1 is gamer dudes. New draft here. Number 4.
This is a live document, people.
Yep, sure is. All right, yeah. By October 2024, establish an elite guide for gamer dudes to show themselves how easy and fun good health is to achieve and maintain, dismantling the oppression we have ingrained.
One of the components of, or it's not a component, but it's another sort of lens is mentioned in the book is for the sake of.
Yes, I have that over here. Where's that? For the sake of moving humanity a bit closer to equanimity.
Wow. Ooh. Gosh. You're Googling equanimity, right? I'm not. You're Googling equanimity and coming up with calmness and composure, especially in a difficult situation. That's what you do. Can you? This is not because I think it's out of alignment. I'm really interested in what was the breadcrumb trail that led you from that place to equanimity.
Equanimity, that immediately came when I started writing out the post. So like that was kind of the first word I thought of, and it comes to me because of how, like I had been kind of searching for that before finding more health in my body and my spirit and everything, and I was just kind of like not making progress on it. Feeling more at peace, feeling more centered, feeling more whatever that means, more connected to myself, and then I found some answers of bodily health. I found some answers for emotional health and spiritual health, and once they all kind of started coming together and I started making progress on myself, the equanimity was easy. And it just kind of happened. I didn't have to try anymore. It just fell in. And then now that I feel like I'm in this place of, close to or achieving, I don't know how to quantify it, but I feel equanimous a lot of the time. So as I'm having this feeling, I feel like I'm a better person. I feel like I'm better with other people. Like I'm more kind, I'm more accepting, I'm more engaged and present. And that feels like such a gift. That feels like such an incredible feeling. And I feel like the people who are in my audience, my target audience of gamer dudes, could use some of that. Could use some more connection with other people. Could use some more understanding of the other realms of the world and how people think and work, and some more compassion and some more connection. And so to me, it was just like that was the obvious word to me.
The question or phrase that came to my mind there was like, and why wouldn't you want that for everyone? Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like when it comes to the gamer dudes that you want to talk to, Are we talking about how enlightened are they? Are we going for the
I can't
Gamergate?
I can't convert Gamergate or 4chan, 8chan. Like I'm not expecting to turn everybody who like just like people like me like 10 years ago. That's my audience. I have a couple friends around that really are prime example. I'm not trying to do this to convert my friends, but if they follow along, then great. That's great. But like they are people that I could see like if I were to make something for them to do and take and try, I'm kind of crafting the perfect thing that I can think of to convert myself from 10 years ago and my friends who are 10 years younger than me and need some help. And so that's kind of my they do have some awakening, do have some awareness already. There is an opening, there is a crack to enter in through. People who are completely closed off, they need help. And honestly, this guide could help them. But the thing is that they need to have the drive to even try it. This is a 12-week course. This is very involved. You're going to have to make sacrifices. It's going to be change, and change is hard for people. You're going to be out of your comfort zone because, I mean, comforts are oppressions, and that's a big part of it. That's going to be expounded upon within the course. And like it, yeah, it's not going to be easy, and people are going to have to try. And the people who are on 4chan and 8chan, you know, I'm very stereotyping, but like we all know who I'm talking about, and they're not open. They 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 don't want to change. They want to keep going the way they're going, and so I'm not trying to reach them. If I do, great.
Well, I was just struck there thinking about there is an interesting neurodivergence thing to think about here, which is that I wonder about behavior patterns, and I wonder about, and this is probably going into the weeds, but it's interesting, so we'll go there. The behavior patterns and the cycles that lead people who are potentially open, but I think there are people who are open but don't realize it. I think there are people who are, maybe integrated, but they are blocked, as to use common parlance. And I think aspects of neurodivergence can mask things and get in the way of things. I think we're dancing around, or I'm certainly dancing around the stereotype again around gamers, hardcore gamers, and autism and stuff like that. And it would be interesting to find out how addressable certain people are, because the behavior suggests that they are closed off, but actually they are clinging on to an identity because it feels like it's what served them. But yeah, there's a whole thing. It could end up being. I mean, there's a fun thing. Here's a fun idea. I don't know if or how many books have done this, but I love the idea that you could buy a book and then like it can come with an optional, like almost like a dust jacket, but like an optional thing that the book comes in for when you buy it for a gift, or it gets put into certain places that like sets the context for the book. That's like, so your friend's giving you this. He's not calling you a fat lazy slob, but there's like, or like I read this book and it changed my life. I didn't think I was this kind of person, but this bit of this, this preface, this bit of the book here is designed to tell you are that kind of, you already are that kind of person. You can make these changes. And you might not think that you want to, but that's because you're afraid of, coming out of your comfort zone and fear of success and various other things. Like, it would be really interesting. Is there a way that, there's a version of the book that can come with like that extra sort of, thing to help those people who don't realize that they can be helped by the book?
Yeah, yeah, that's really fun. Uh, what would you say before the book uh jacket idea, which that's delightful. Um, that reminded me of like the instances or stories I've heard of people who like they get a trolling message on social media and they respond back with something that's really kind or polite, even though in the face of this abuse, they send niceness back. And then they get a reply back from the troll saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so mean." Like I like the humanity hits them as soon as the humanity comes back at them. And they because they're used to just spewing anger and getting anger back, probably because of abusive households and oppressive societies. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of reasons for it. And yeah, so I'd absolutely love to be able to reach into those people and just, you know, because that I feel like there is a spark, there is an opening, there is an opportunity there. And
It's just pain. You know what I mean? It's just pain.
exactly,
That's all that is.
exactly. Yeah,
It's just hurt. And I don't think those people love that aspect of themselves. I've definitely said unkind things that I regret, and I on the internet. And years later apologized. I did it. I remember doing a public post on Twitter and picked like four people and said, I've said shitty things to you before, or not even to you. I've atted you. There's such an interesting thing about atting people. It's like, the little at symbol and the word at. It's like we throw these things at people, these darts, and we're not having a conversation. We're not speaking to them. We're not speaking with them. We're speaking at them. And like, yeah, I think it was a moment where I was feeling more able to. I was going to say forgive myself, but to understand where that behavior came from, but also feel like, yeah, I can make reparations here. I can say I'm sorry that I said those things. And one or two people replied to say either like, well, I think, everything that came back was sort of appreciative. And, so much of that does come from, it just comes from pain. And you can work with that. Well, you're putting your team together.
I did assemble my team. You did a wonderful thing of adding us all to a group, which is was delightful and it's been fun um to start to see how everybody's going to be coming along and contributing. I don't feel like a group chat is the right avenue for my people, so I won't be doing that, and kind of just individually reaching out to them. But I have you as the warrior. My friend Cameron here in Portland is the healer. Um, my teacher or magician is Unique Hammond because I get so much insight from her, and she definitely helps me foster an open mind. The ruler is Margaret, yeah, because that she's an incredible role model of courage and vision, and widens my horizons for sure. And then I have two options for the trickster. One is my previous co-host for NAFT, Aaron Wong, because he's jovial and he pushes me in ways that I don't expect, and kind of he's kind of cynical in a delightful way. Um, but he's a little bit hard to get a hold of right now, so I haven't shared any of this God mode stuff with him yet, so I'm not really sure what he's going. He's always got my back, and you saw from the wedding video, like he always like admires where I am and where I think my authenticity lies in that moment and everything. And so I know you'd have my back, but he's just got his own life stuff going on right now. And my other option I was thinking of is Yudi Zalko, um, and he's a little bit less of a provoker and teaser, but he does have a funny sense of humor and a very different kind of engagement and worldview and stuff. And so I think that would be really fun. And I haven't reached out to him yet to see if he wants to talk about this stuff yet. But I feel very good about my team because I feel so supported. I feel like I have advisors to go to and support behind me and encouragement. And I've talked to the first four of you already about this in various ways and times, and just been receiving support and encouragement. So it's been wonderful, overwhelming a bit.
I think on the jester thing, for me, it feels, again, for me, but I think this is important to have someone who is going to call you on stuff, and give you that pinprick. We've talked about it a couple of times, just to not necessarily pop the balloon, but just take a look and just make sure the emperor has got some clothes on. I think that is needed, because it's just so easy for us all to disappear under up our own purpose, and so having someone who can just look outside of that, go and just really question mark, can be useful.
Yeah. I mean, I think Aaron or Ubi would do well for me with that, but I just got to get hold of them.
Yeah.
There was an interesting bit of creating a this not that list, which was kind of cool. So I got pull not push, welcome not exclusive. Uh, this one's a bit in the weeds on YouTube, but Renaissance Perio not V shred. And so Renaissance Perio is like it's a fit. They're both fitness kind of groups or YouTube channels or whatever, and Renaissance is a bit more explaining and debunking and kind of offering good advice. And V-Shred is very this is the only way. Very scammer vibes, very like pyramid scheme, not pyramid scheme, but
yeah, I can hear it in the name. I mean, both the names, like, they speak volumes.
Yeah, exactly. Simple, not overcomplicated. Accepting, not judging. Easy, not punishing.
Well, gotta love all of those. Yeah.
A quote that I pulled that I think I'm going to in the beginning, and maybe even as like a little like pre-course before the course is started, something free to get you into it before you actually get into it. I want to kind of make a tiny version of this book with like maybe about half of the tasks and yeah, making it so you have to do a little bit of work to get started, and you push yourself into it because you really need to be committed to get benefit out of this. Because if you quit a couple weeks in, like you're going to learn some stuff, and maybe you'll come back to it later. And like people are going to quit. Everybody, like, I understand. Like I'm not expecting everybody to go through the full 12 weeks first time every time, but the idea to get people committed is really important to me. But there was a quote that I think I'm going to have like accredited to him in there, just like on a bubble on the side. It says, "Annoyingly, we seem to learn deepest and fastest when we're in the discomfort of conscious incompetence."
One of the things I'm thinking there is, and then, maybe it's a bit of a default route, but I can see why people do this, is you've got something that needs to be implemented. Like, I can see I could see myself without your help reading the book and going, "That's brilliant. I love all of this. I'm going to implement that someday."
And that's why I didn't want to write a book.
Yeah, but I think you should, because what I think the book then leads into is, okay, and you can say this right at the end. Sorry, you can. I mean, whatever. It's me being, maybe I'm not being a warrior here, but yes. One thing you might consider is, all right, you've read all the book. Now, are you actually going to do this? And do you want some help? If so, it's community time, baby. Like that's absolutely where you have the community, where people can join and have that accountability. Maybe there's weekly, monthly, whatever coaching calls with you, or the practitioners that you end up bringing in along the way that you certify, and they become people who preach the word, so that the people like me who've read the book and gone, "Those are such great ideas, I'm definitely going to do that," actually do it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Creating a Discord community is definitely on the list. Being available for coaching, both group and individual, is on the list and going to happen. I'm looking into certifications for coaching and all that stuff. Uh, the action plan, one thing that I really kind of came forward to me through my work on how to begin was that uh like I where I feel like I've really started, and man, I have written a ton of notes and ton of like not a guide but like structure. I made a huge structure. I've written 5,600 words, which, you know, not a ton, but like I want to get to like 18,000 or something. Yeah, I want to get to about 18,000. But most of this is notes. This isn't like scripts. This is like um preparation. So like all of these things, I have so much more to say, and this is shorthand. So I feel like that's going to be pretty easy to fill out. But what I've realized is that, yeah, I have all these notes on the structure of the content, but I haven't had an action plan for what I'm really doing every day to get this work done, what I need to do to prepare myself for being this person I'm trying to be.
And when you say, just to clarify, when you say get this work done and be the person, you're talking about getting the work of the book done and being the person who has the book, as opposed to being a recipient of the course or the book.
Not as a participant, but as me, the creator and person who wants to be available for participants. Like I need to prepare myself in making sure that I do coaching correctly and in you know um not giving I don't want to give people the wrong advice, but correct me if I'm
Oh,
wrong. It's
same
a
of yeah,
legitimate
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And where I'm trying to go into it very cautiously because I I'm very skeptical of certifications and sort of like authority structures like that, because they can often, at least in the meta, not I don't know about coaching really, because coaching is super unregulated, but regulated industries like the medical field, which I'm not getting into medical stuff, but I am. It's like
No, but I
adjacent,
think
you know?
when you're advising people on things like nutrition and stuff that they do with their body, I feel like you want to have something behind that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be giving some advice that is known to like hurt people or anything. And I know like I'm giving some, not just what to eat advice, but how to eat advice. And that can be troublesome around people with eating disorders. And even, some of the things that I suggest have been called eating disorders. And it's like, well, it kind of depends on why you're doing it and how you're doing it. And it's like, yeah, I like right now, I haven't eaten for 42 hours. And to some, that's that anorexia when you don't eat. And it's like, sure, yeah, I guess you could call me anorexic, but I'm thriving and I'm eating consciously and I'm eating really healthy meals at the right times for the goodness of my body. And it's like when you're just trying to eat to be skinny to fill a role in society that you have been oppressed into thinking that you should be, that's really unhealthy. It's going to be bad for your mental state. It's going to be bad for your physical body, and it's going to have a whole bunch of negative repercussions. When you're eating so that you can enter autophagy, so that your brain recycles or your body recycles all of its cells and the organelles, then that can be really good if you're doing it in the structure. You're doing it with knowledge on how to come out of it. You're doing knowledge how to go into it and all this stuff. I think it's a bit different.
My brother did the same a couple of weeks ago. He did it for 4 days.
Yeah, perfect, amazing. Oh, that's great. Did you come back on a bone broth?
He went because me and my our family have a sort of all or nothing approach. So he just went bam straight into eating everything again.
Yeah, I've done that too, and it's not so bad.
Yeah. because I would do it. I have said I have gone on record. I would give it a go. I just have to find the right days. You know what I mean? Because yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, so yeah, that was something I was going to talk to you about at one point because I mentioned a few episodes back. Um, you had said something like to the contrary. You're like, I don't want to do something that's kind of crazy. I want to have my 3 meals a day, and I want to do this and that, and I understand that and respect that. And yeah, I still want to kind of push and suggest and
oh yeah. I
probe
mean,
and ask.
something that you do, like as a reboot, as a yes, I can get behind that.
There's two things. There's one, yeah, there's the temporary nature of it. Yeah, it's a 12-week course. You're going to try something out. You're not going to be skipping meals the whole time. You're not going to be fasting the whole time. You're going to go through a different couple phases. And so that there's no the temporary thing. Also, if you do like some of the things that you're feeling through this course, and I'm saying you as in the participant, not you as in Mark Stedman, then you can change your daily habit at home. And when you go out and eat with friends, when you have your regular dinner with your family, when you have these interactions where you just want to eat normally like everybody else, that's just fine. If you're in the middle of you're on day 3 of what you plan to be a 5-day fast, and you have some interaction where you're like, oh well shoot, that's a bummer. And you can either choose to break your fast or you can continue your fast and then you break your fast and try it again in a month or so or whatever. But if you're doing a daily habit of just eating 1 meal a day and you typically eat like a big late lunch and somebody asks you out for breakfast, like go out for breakfast. There's no harm in that. And like in a thing like keto or a thing like paleo or other things that are vegan, it's so restrictive and so oppressive in their nature that you feel like you can't divert for it or you're going to lose all your gains. Like that's not at all how this works. It's your daily your health is a reflection of your daily habits over time. That's as simple as that.
Ding 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 ding.
Exactly, exactly. And so like just having a good, healthy, normal baseline, it's completely fine to go out once a week, twice a week to interact with people and however you want to do it. You don't have to stress about it. That's the stress is like the killer. There's nothing worse than stress. There's no benefit to stress.
This is one of the things that I said at the beginning of the year was I'm going to go. I'm not going to drink booze, but I'm not going to be weird about it.
Perfect.
Yeah, meaning what that has turned into is I'm not drinking in the home. I don't. I'm not drinking booze at home. And I was at a thing I was at my stand-up course on Monday, and I was like, sat there just going, you know what? There's a particular cider I like, and I'm like, I like that cider. I'm going to have a pint of that cider, and I had a pint of that cider, and then I carried on and did the day. And it's just the same thing. It's like, do the thing, stick to the thing. Just don't be weird about it. Like, do you know when I say just don't be weird about it? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
absolutely.
Don't make it a thing. Like, don't make it part of your personality. And what you're talking about, I really love, because it's like, yes, these are the things. And yeah, when it's something like a fast, I'm completely with you. And I weirdly enough, with one of my challenges that I was looking into, it's the same rule. Like, if you break it, like, don't be hard on yourself, but just go, okay, well, that's the end of that streak, and the aim is we'll start another streak. But and then when you're talking about the other stuff that is a little bit more flexible, it's just like, this is the plan. I'm just not going to be weird about it. Just don't be a weirdo about it, and then you'll find, don't be the guy who's, oh no, I absolutely can't do that because I'm in this particular plan, and it's just like, just don't be weird about it, and you'll probably be fine. So I like that a lot.
You mentioned the streaks, and you mentioned the importance of streaks in a previous episode, and it didn't come to me at the time, but it came to me later. I was thinking how unimportant streaks are. Like in Godmode, the big bad, I think I'm going to be calling oppression. It comes at us in so many different kind of forms, and I think that's kind of the name of the enemy, more or less. And so I think streaks can be oppressive, just internally. It gets you to oppress yourself because if you miss your streak, you end your streak, you feel bad. You're setting yourself up to feel bad, and everybody is going to stop a streak. Like you have, it's just it's just inevitable. And so, sure, you can get a little bit of dopamine as you're going along, but then each time you go on one day, you're adding one day. Like it's such a small win. And then it's such a big loss when you end your streak. For me, I mean, yeah. And then this is, not advice for everybody. This is like kind of a way that I see it, and a counter opportunity for people, like for people who love streaks and that works for them. Like I'm not going to take that away from them, but for people like me, the biggest streak that I have on anything is for my daily tracking app, Dailyo. I just passed 11,011, or no, 1111 a few days ago, and it gave me a little trophy. And I'm like, yay, I've been doing it for 1100 days of tracking every day, and I've been able to, like, if I miss a day, I can do yesterday and fill it back in and everything, and I've been tracking all my stuff, and that's great. And it also feels like, all right, like, cool, I have that many days. That doesn't really do anything for me.
Do you know why, Brendan?
Tell me.
Is the streak's important to you, but you're not weird about it.
Hey, like that's great. Yeah.
And that's it. It's the same. It's like if you make for lack of a better word, pathology out of the streak being missed, then yeah, like, no judgment, but you're being weird about it. Like just don't be, you just go, bugger, shit, I missed my streak. And the aim is to not miss 2 days. And that's the aim. Like, just try not to miss 2 days. The idea is not to lose that streak and go, no, like you're not sort of raising your fist and hollering at this streak that's been lost. It's just it's much more, I think, a visual indicator, and in some ways, depending on how you visualize it, a breaking of the streak sort of shows you a little bit like the exception that proves the rule. It sort of can show you, like, this is how much I did, and I only took 1 day off. I mean, I think I mentioned this somewhere. Duolingo, I believe, if you accrue if you get up to a certain number of days, it gives you a day free. It just says, listen, all right, you skipped today. We're not going to, like a no claims, bonus or whatever. We're not going to ding you because you've shown your commitment. And so, yeah, I absolutely see that point. And like so many of these things, it's just like, just try not to be weird about it.
I love that. That's really good.
Just don't make it that's the thing, isn't it? It's when we make things capital T things.
Yeah.
And it comes down to like stuff we were talking about last week or the week before about how, we need to treat things with lightness and all that kind of stuff. It's just like when it becomes a capital T thing, then you have to sort of go, okay, what are we holding up here? Let's hold things a little bit more loosely. And if we can hold more things more loosely, then yeah, talking about getting to 80, like we'll get to 80 and we'll be able to look at ourselves and go, I had a pretty good time throughout that, rather than like, I've been holding myself together all this time and holding myself to this standard, and I've finally reached 80 and I can go, there we go. It's like, wouldn't it be nice if every day felt a bit more like that?
Yeah.
And you just held things less lightly, or more lightly.
Yeah, 100%. So last thing I think I want to talk about with Godmode is just a probe for you. I'm curious, what would happen if you skipped eating for a day?
I would be very aware of doing it, and then a day would go by and I'd be very proud of myself and I think I was a very good boy. I think a day is like doable because that's an event. I think 2 days becomes really tricky because, and me and my brother had talked about this, because like if you are someone who enjoys food and you enjoy the routine of it and the ceremony, not the ceremony, but yeah, a little bit the ceremony,
for sure, the ceremony, yeah.
And you have those moments you sort of go, oh, I was oh, you just like, for him, it's like he might be driving home from work and thinking about, his tummy's rumbling and he's thinking about, yeah, I'm going to sit down with the kids and, oh, I can't. Yeah. A day is all right. But I think more than that, it starts to get a little bit more like, oh, okay, I don't love this. But that's my answer. I'm assuming there are follow-up questions.
Yeah, no, there's no invitation or challenge. I was just kind of curious how you feel like you would fare. Do you feel like you would be chomping at the bit to snacky, or do you like,
Nah,
oh yeah,
it's
missing?
because it's a thing. I'm good when you throw down the gauntlet at me. I tend to be pretty good in those kind of situations. Like running 10 kilometers over 10 days. Oh, sorry, a 5K every day for 10 days. It's like you give me a challenge and I'll
Mhm.
do what I can, like, because I'm stubborn.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want a challenge, take a day this week and don't eat and see what that's like for you. But I wasn't intending to throw that
No, no, no,
challenge down.
what do you think, other than proving? Because I don't feel like I need to prove it to myself that I can. What other benefits might I expect?
Oh, for sure. So, the body enters ketosis first after around oh, don't quote me on this. I think it's like 14 hours. Um, Depending on the body and a bunch of other things, whatever. But like then you stop powering your brain off of the sugars that you've eaten and the carbohydrates, and you start powering your brain off of your fat storage, your storage. We all build up fat on our bellies and our bodies, and then we just keep it around for a rainy day. Well, doing a 1 day fast or a 5 day fast, that's the rainy day. That's the only time, like otherwise it's never rainy in our internal weather. And so we're instigating a rainy day. So we're going to start using those fat storage to be powering our body. And what you get from that, besides starting to use a different power source and starting to, get a little bit thinner because you're using up the stored energy, but you also get a little bit better brain function because it's working on a different octane. It's going at a different speed. You can think a little bit deeper and a little bit faster, and a lot of people like to, and it does feel different. It does feel it's not like super noticeably different, and it's not necessarily pleasurable. I don't think it really changes on the on how comfortable it feels. Um, I think many people would say they don't like it at first because it's new and different and weird. But once you try it out a couple times and you're like, okay, this is how that feels. Okay, I'm getting used to it. I like it. It's not better or worse. It's just different. And then once you get into the between 20 and 30 hour range, so if you have like an early dinner and then you skip a day and then maybe you have a late breakfast on the third day, then if you count yeah, if you got the early dinner on day one, skip all the food on day two, and then on day three you kind of have a late breakfast, then you're entering autophagy, and so that's going to break down cells that are not either formed well and just have been stuck around for a while, or they're kind of old and they're past their prime, and they're going to dismantle the organelles. It's like this like within a cell, it has its own organs, and those organs get broken down to be either rebuilt or used for other cells that you're making constantly, and so you're just recycling your body to make it better. And it also has the benefit of breaking down cancer cells. It starts to reverse things like dementia and diabetes and a bunch of other super cool effects. And so doing that, I don't have that part's the stuff that's the science. Those are the parts of it, like give or take a few specifics. That's an overview of how it works. Here's kind of more my thought pattern on it. and not necessarily backed by any studies or anything, but this is what I've observed in myself and what I've gleaned from people. Like if you do that once a week or twice a week, you just take a day off of eating, like you're going to be constantly doing a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of recycling, a little bit of reconstruction on your body, and it's not going to be too invasive. And so you're going to be able to just make some really great gains over the long haul, without it being too obstructive to a normal life. So I would just start with one day, even one day a month. You just try not eating and see what it's like, and then maybe work up to one day a week. 2 days a week is like you're really trying to push it, and you're like, okay, I like this, and I want to keep at it. I want to see where this can go. I think that's a little bit high, pushing past where most people probably need. And then doing a 5-day fast is that should happen like timeline wise. If you have some sort of disease like diabetes or dementia or cancer or things like that, or fibromyalgia, you're trying to work through a specific thing, maybe do that twice a year. If not, just do it once a year. If you feel like you don't have any disease that's really you need to work on, once a year is that's what all the religions do. Like they all have fasting built into it for thousands of years. Like this is an ancient tradition. They all know they know something, and it's usually a once a year kind of thing, and that's just like a maintenance on the body kind of stuff. But for us as in people in modern society, we're having processed foods, we're living in oppressive stress, and a bunch of other things like we haven't been doing this practice. We might need to, we might want to amp it up, start slow, amp it up so and make some progress, and then back down to a normal level once we feel more comfortable in a healthy body. That was a bigger pitch than I was expecting.
Beautifully done.
So we've talked a lot about Godmode. I'm happy to go off into a different topic. I had a question for you about TBM real quick. So I was talking with Cameron, who also, like you, kind of fell off the challenge pretty quickly. He was on the first week, and for him, he kind of got stuck in this perfectionistic mindset of like, oh, I haven't finished this task, and so I can't move on to the next task, and like I don't have the energy for that, and I'm like, this and that, and it's kind of just like I want it. I want to learn more about it, but it just feels like so much work, or it feels like I'm not doing it 100% right, or something. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it was something similar to that. He had a block, and so he and I sat down, and I was pause. Okay, pin in that. I was thinking that I was stuck on week 3, but what I had done was I was actually kind of cherry picking from the rest of the 6 weeks and doing a thing here and there as it kind of came to me. And then I sat back and I looked at it, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm actually on week 6. Like I'm halfway through week 6. I'm almost done with this course. I didn't even realize it. I thought I was stuck on week 3. And through those two experiences, and now I have since finished the challenge, and that's wonderful. But what I came to is like, so each week has like a video, has like about 20 minutes, half an hour ish of a video to watch. And all those videos, they kind of like go over the whole process and in a good amount of detail with examples and stuff. And so what I suggested to Cameron and what we did together was we just went through all the videos of the whole week. Like you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do every step in order. You have to do every single journal prompt and every single DI and every single script that you need to read. Like just go through and get the data, the overview, the info, the mindset shift, and the subconscious awareness of all this stuff.
Integrating is the word I would use. That's the important thing, is integrating the stuff. And I don't know how much I integrate through journaling. And then there are probably other ways that I integrate Yeah, and I think for me, I integrate pretty quickly. I think I listen and and maybe I'll make a couple of notes. I've been munching through books at the moment, and they're coming out in all sorts of different shapes in my work. And so yeah, I think that's what everybody's trying to do. Here's an issue that I'm not sidetracking. Just a little pin is that what's interesting in so many of these practices, and it's going to be the same in yours, it's going to be the same in mine, is that we have this sense of, well, this is how you've got to do, like, this is how it needs to be done, because it comes from a place of like, well, I need to know that you've integrated this knowledge, or I need to know that you're going to apply this stuff. And like I was been reading The Artist's Way, and she's so big on morning pages, and it's not something I can get behind, like writing three blank pages of stuff every morning. Like, no, it's but what's more important is having a conversation with your subconscious. That's what she's trying to get, not trying to get at in terms of she's not expressing it well. She's expressing it perfectly, but that's how she's communicating how you need to integrate this stuff. And how you need to have that conversation with your subconscious. What's important is having the conversation with your subconscious, not that you write exactly 3 pages of morning pages. And I think every practice you have to be able to not take it with a pinch of salt, but to be able to again figure out how you integrate it. And that could be an interesting thing for us, both of us, to look at. Is I love looking at learning styles and the whole mechanic of watch, read, listen, do. And so instead of us prescribing, this is how you prove to me or prove to yourself that you've integrated the knowledge, is like, here are 4 ways that you can do it. You can listen to this, you can watch this, you can do this, or you can read this. And those are the ways you pick, whichever way. It's a weird way I count on my fingers. It's because my hands are weird. These are the ways that you know to yourself that you've integrated that knowledge. And so that's just something that popped into my head. So yes, I love that. And that would be something that I think I'd be very much into, because I think I know what I'm manifesting. The big thing, which is because I'm going all in on morning creative. I'm actually I'm restructuring my whole working week about it, and I'm pretty nervous about that, because I've never done anything like this before. It's the bravest, but it's the boldest thing I've done since going freelance. It's the next evolution of saying, this is what's important to me. Before was autonomy. I'm chasing that autonomy. Now I'm kind of chasing like meaning, and being someone who can disseminate ideas and share ideas and gets rewarded for doing that. I'm looking at morning creative as, what if this wasn't just the thing that was an ad for my business, but what if it became a thing, a small p, lowercase p product in and of itself. And in order for that to happen, and in order for it to be a success and to build an audience, I've got to put the work in. And the advice is like, for every hour you spend making the podcast, you need to be spending at least that same amount of time marketing it and telling people about it, and all those things. And I'm like, okay, if I'm serious about it, this is what this looks like. And then that means completely restructuring my days. But because of that, I now have my thing, like, by the end of the year, I want this to generate, and I will pick a number. I don't know what that number is yet. Well, I think the easiest thing to do is to say, by doing morning creative, I can make the money that I need to make. I can make my income just doing morning creative and not client work. And anything else I choose to do on top of that is fine. If I want to work with clients, that I can, but I don't have to. And that is the measure of success for me. And I think that's the thing that I'll be manifesting. And it feels great. Like, it actually feels really good. Like, I love where it's going with the new design, the new artwork. I'm really happy with it. I'm YouTubing, getting a new camera tomorrow. And I've started recording videos. I'm live streaming. The whole thing is like, I'm going to be here noon GMT every day, every weekday. I'm following mutual person that we know or know of, Tom Merritt, who when Tom, I think he left the Twit network because of a disagreement over something. I'm not entirely sure. I've never actually asked him, and it's not my business. He left and then started up his own Daily Tech News show. He's never actually explicitly said it, I don't think, but it's obvious that show does not miss a day. Unless it's an American public holiday. And even then, they put out a headlines episode. And that doesn't mean he doesn't miss an episode, but the show doesn't. The show is on, the stream is on every day at this time. And that I'm fired up for. I'm turning it on. This is when I go live. Hang out in the chat if there's anyone to chat with for a bit. Record an episode, done, edit, get it ready. And that's sort of the way it's going to work. I don't start working for clients until 2:00, and I go from 2 till 6, which is a big shift. And it's going to be weird, and I haven't told my clients because I'm scared to. And hopefully, it won't mean anything to them. It just means that I won't take meetings before 2:00. Let's see what happens after a year, or by the end of the year, let's say. And I think I can get there. It's one of those was like, I think I can do it by the end of the year. So it's terrifying because the numbers are tiny at the moment. They're really, really small. But it's been one of the things I have to remind myself. It's only been a month since the show got to its current standard. Or since it's been at its current standard. The end of November and December were me just sort of tapping the mic and going, is this thing on, really?
Yeah, it was the Stedman Diary 2.0.
Yeah, very informal.
Yeah. And now, man, you are so pro. It sounds so clear and I don't know, it's inviting and invigorating and beautiful. Every episode, I'm just like, whoa. Wow, good job.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see it take off because I know it will.
Yeah, and we're I think we might see a little bit of growth on it this month because the first month or December, there was a big spike because it got in Apple Podcasts and I got a load of people to subscribe, and I was arguably too early because the show was what it was, and so I've got to sort of recover from that big spike. But I think even with that spike, I think I might end the month with a bit of growth. And so if I'm starting to see a bit of growth every month, then I know I'm on the right track. And let's see what happens. The getting from 0 to 500 listeners is the hardest bit. And that's why I think, you've got to give it a year because it's going to take time just to get over that stuff. And so that's where commitment comes in and having that belief to be like, no, I think this is the right thing.
And your goal isn't to get to 100,000 listeners or whatever it was in How to Begin. But he wanted to create a whole team and get people super marketing to get in the top 3% of podcasts, and that's just so huge.
Well, I work on it. By the way, I work on a top 3% podcast.
Ooh,
yeah. And that took. I don't think it took more than 18 months for that person. So yeah, but yeah, it's either way. However we measure this.
Do you feel like there's lessons that you can learn from the success of that podcast that you can incorporate into yours that will be beneficial for the people that you're trying to get to, not just to get more numbers, but
and then there are some overlaps in some of the things we talk about as well, and I think I may sit down with this person at some point. We've sort of mentioned it briefly about doing something like that. And it comes back to actually a conversation we had fairly early on. I think we had the conversation about the website and the things and all the shiny products and the packaging, not the things that bring for me, they're not the things that bring me work. It's the going out and the speaking to the people that does the bringing of the work. And that's been the same for my client. It's they are in a position where they already had a good amount of standing in their field, and so people wanted them to come and speak. But it was just that thing of, well, whenever I speak, this is the thing I'm always promoting. Like, it's always this. This is the thing that I talk about. This is where you should go. This is what you should engage with. And that's it. That's the last slide of the keynote. It's go to this website. This is where the podcast is. And it's networking. It's networking. That's what I've got to try and figure out. That'll be fun. That'll be part of the process, because like the production takes an hour and a half. The rest of the time is spent, from like 9 till 11 is spent on the previous episode, making assets, doing all that stuff, but also making sure I'm, trying to find people to engage with and talk to that can then hopefully be future listeners and then fans of the podcast.
Are you able to use AI to help you with any of the video stuff?
Not so much with the video stuff. I use it for things like show notes and stuff. I use it quite heavily for, like, I'm not being overly precious about my show descriptions and things at the moment. And so, like, the titles I write myself, but then the description, because that's the bit that just sort of leaves me cold. But yeah, I have my little formula. I think it works well enough. They're sometimes a little bit like spiky. They're a bit self-aggrandizing sometimes, but I just find, if it's going to tell the listener that this is an insightful episode, whatever, fine. And that's fine. And so, yeah, I kind of have that formula. And I'm looking for lots of ways to like shave down the amount of time that I spend doing stuff. Or, like reduce the amount of repetitive tasks and that kind of stuff. One of the things I want to try and figure out is like little things like I already had a shortcut that took my episode, slapped an image on it, uploaded it to Transistor and set the publish date and added the transcript and everything. And it just did it with code. And I could just, here's the MP3 file, run this shortcut and boom, it's all done. So I'm not copying and pasting anything. And so the next hump is if I can get that done with YouTube, then I'm not spending a load of time clicking next, upload this file, set this thumbnail, all that stuff. Because it's stuff like that. I'm a big fan of like, what is your unfair advantage? Like, what is the thing that you've got that other people haven't? And my thing is, I can disseminate creative ideas and I can talk about creativity and I can be squishy, but I've also got mad coding skills. So that helps. That helps get a few things done that other people would have to pay a VA $30 an hour for.
One last thing to just mull over, well, not mull over, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. The difference between living like there's no tomorrow and living as if there is only now.
No tomorrow to me feels like. And I love the fact that I now feel like I'm being interviewed, and I like your interview. I like your warm yeah. I like how you talk. No tomorrow feels very nihilistic. Live like there's no tomorrow. Die young, leave a beautiful corpse. It's all quite sort of life is throwaway. Life is fleeting. No, it's like life is long. Let's enjoy every second of it. Like, yeah. So what was it? Live like there's no tomorrow, or
living as if there is only now.
Living as if there is only now. Yeah, that's living in the present. It's nihilism versus, living in the present. And actually, I had an observation about this yesterday. I was invited to do a little exercise when I was recording the other podcast in the extended Mark Steadman universe, the A to Z of happiness. We did a little exercise replaying a memory, and I was struck by the fact that even in that memory, it was me playing a silly game with my nephews on holiday, and I had this sense of not being fully present then and keeping like half an eye on what we've got to do next, or when is this game going to end, or when is someone going to get tired of it, or when is something going to, like the police, the sort of policeman or the Graham Chapman character from Monty Python coming along and go, nope, it's too silly. Kind of just keeping that sort of, no one likes a joke as much as I do, except for Captain Johnson and my wife and a few of her friends. Come to think of it, most people enjoy a joke more than I do, but that's beside the point. Right. Yeah, it's that part of the sort of ego that is keeping watch and keeping track and not living completely in the moment. And we're about to have, because I'm on this TV show, and it's coming out tomorrow as we record, and I'm going to be, we're gathering the family round, and we're, going to pop some champagne and eat some delicious unhealthy food and gather around and watch this, thing, this sort of potentially life-changing event. Well, it's life-changing because we're on the TV. And I'm really conscious, without being weird about it, I'm really conscious of the fact that I want to soak in, like, I don't need to fix my eyes on the TV to watch it, because I can watch it again.
Yeah.
What I can't watch again is my nephew's reactions and how their faces light up when a certain question comes up, or I can't believe Granddad knew this, or whatever it is. Like, those are the things that, I need to, I want to record in the mental camcorder, and just try and spend that time in the now.
Perfect, dude. Oh, what a great mindset to put yourself in before entering in that kind of moment. A thing is coming. You're aware that your mind can go to a certain place and can get distracted and can get obsessed, and you're consciously preparing yourself to be in the moment. I fucking love it. That's amazing. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I'm going to assume you land on that question or that dichotomy in a similar place, but I'd love to hear it from from you.
Pretty similar. Yeah, I think the former no tomorrow is self-destructive. I think it's denying and destroying the future, and therefore you lose all potential, which is devastating. But the latter, that there's only now, can be transformative. It can be uplifting and transcendent, and not to mention being present and aware and accepting of all that is happening and all that will happen. Live like there is only now, because that really is all we have. There will be a future, but when we're in that future, we're living in now. And there was a past that those things did happen, and when that happened, we were in the now. Like, there's just always right now. And so in this now, we can choose to do whatever we want. We've got there's things holding us back, both internally and externally. And we can do things to change those over time, so that in the future, our now can be a little bit better for us. But yeah, we have the choice, we have the opportunity, we have the ability to make our now perfect, as perfect as whatever we want to describe it to be.
Thank you, Brendan.
And as always, correct me if I'm wrong. Great question.
Thank you. I'm feeling quite punchy today. Maybe
I love that response. I love when I love it and hate it when people say "great question." So it's like so common. Like people, like, it's like it feels like it's
a good throat clearing phrase. That's what it is. It's just buying time for a second. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. It feels like somebody took a course in being the participant of an interview, not the interviewer, but the interviewee. Like
Yes.
interviewee 102, they tell you always answer or always respond immediately with great question, and then